Welcome to another RMSO Driving Roundtable. It's Jenny and Kelly. We're going to check on the snow levels in the South Uintas. We're also going to check on Skinwalker Ranch because it's on the south side of the Uintas. We're heading up Daniels Canyon, and this canyon's of interest to us for many reasons. One is we heard an argument between a rancher and his wife about this canyon. This rancher lets us Bigfoot on his property. He's got 1,000 acres of property, and he's more than happy to let us look for Bigfoot on his property because his property's right in the middle of a Bigfoot sighting hotspot. But this canyon, his wife was telling us one night when we were over visiting them that they hit a Bigfoot driving in this canyon that was crossing the road. She said that he was driving their big Ford truck with the brush guard and everything on the front, and she said a Bigfoot crossed in front of them and they hit it. She thought they killed the thing. It's laying in the grass and stuff on the side of the road, and then she said it got up and limped off into the woods, and her husband got mad, and he's like, no, we hit a moose, and she got all upset and said, you know damn well we hit a Bigfoot. And anyway, later on that evening, she took me aside and said, you know, he's a retired police officer. He's never going to admit to seeing a Bigfoot, but that was a Bigfoot that they hit. So there's a story of two eyewitnesses arguing back and forth that they hit a moose or a Bigfoot. But on the right side of us is Timpanogos Cave. There's Provo Canyon that direction. There's a lot of Bigfoot sightings between here and there, including, Tribble Lake, I think is its name. There's a Bigfoot was filmed there. We went and investigated that one winter, just a week after a Bigfoot was supposedly filmed there. The video looks great. Looks like it was Bigfoot, but, you know, we didn't find anything to back up that there was a Bigfoot there where the video was filmed, but the video looks great. And of course we showed up a week later.
Wasn't that last year?
I think it was 2 years ago. I know, it goes fast, doesn't it? So anyways, this is Daniels Canyon. The person on the passenger side of the truck said they hit a Bigfoot. Something else about this Daniels Canyon that's interesting is a couple of summers ago, somebody found a skeleton in a cave just off of this canyon. The skeleton was wearing armor. You know, and of course the person that found the skeleton, just thinking they come up on a homicide scene and everything. Well, after the police come in and investigated it, they got a hold of an archaeologist at a university to come in and exhume the skeleton because the skeleton was wearing 16th century Spanish armor.
Wow.
This is kind of one of the gateways to the Uintas, and there's rumor has it that there's a bunch of Spanish gold that got left behind somewhere in this mountain range because the Native Americans ran them out so fast that they had to leave a lot of stuff behind. They left behind a lot of their cannons and gold, supposedly. So a lot of treasure hunters were happy to hear about, Brody, for instance. He was really happy to hear that they found a 16th century body with armor on it, or skeleton.
Mike's always going on and on about the Spanish gold up here.
Yeah.
He reads a lot about it.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, 1994 on Lightning Ridge, a young kid, a teenage kid, found a bar of 16th century Spanish gold. Just one bar. There's supposedly a cache of these bars, but I don't know, in my opinion, Those Spanish leave behind the gold. I'm sure every single one of them that survived the Indian attack to later come, I'm sure the dudes were always trying to come back for that, you know what I mean? So I don't think it's there, but a lot of people do. And that kid finding that bar, 15 years ago or whatever it is now.
Did he get to keep it?
I don't know how that worked out. He found it on National Forest property, and I know in the United States you can go for a finder's fee for finding something. So I don't know if he got to keep it outright or if he had to go to court over the finder's fee for finding it. But if someone can prove it's theirs, or if it's on property, so it automatically belongs to whoever's property you brought it on. The nice thing about the United States is you can get a 20% finder's fee for finding lost treasures.
How much is a bar of gold worth?
I don't know what it's going for an ounce now. I don't know, like $900 is what I last heard, in the 900 range. But because it's actually a marked 16th century, it would make it more valuable as a historical artifact. So if the little bar of gold was worth, $20,000 in gold plates, say, just the historical value of it would increase beyond the going rate. I know I hear a lot of people saying, I find it, I'm just going to melt it down and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know what? If you leave it as is, the 20% finder's fee is probably worth more than if you melted it down and made your own gold bars or whatever. But I don't know. I won't have to worry about that unless I ever stumble across it. I'm looking for Bigfoot, not this Spanish gold. And there's also silver in these areas that people think has been stashed by what was it?
Butch Cassidy.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. A lot of people are looking for. I guess at the time it was worth $100,000 in silver, so it's worth a lot more now. Yeah, they stashed it somewhere along their crime spree before they got caught, and they come through here for a long time, so there's a lot of people that have been looking for their cache of silver here. But yeah, we have a lot of friends that are treasure hunters, and I always joke around, because we're not looking for the treasure, we're looking for Bigfoot, that it'll probably be us that stumbles across it in our Bigfoot adventures. But it's interesting. I love to hear the history of these lost treasures and where they might be, and it's like, hey, we Bigfoot there. As a matter of fact, that rancher that owns the 1,000 acres, him and one of his buddies, for the last 30 years, they've been looking in places for Butch Cassidy's stashed silver, the silver that was never found.
Oh, the snow's pretty good and thick still up here.
Uh-huh. It's not as deep as I thought it would be through here. I mean, I expected snow in this canyon because they get a lot here and it's a high elevation. One of our team members, Jenny's brother, Brody Lewis, he's been a treasure hunter his whole life. He's pretty much a 5th generation treasure hunter. Each one of the dads passes it down to the kids. But he has taken us to some of the best Bigfoot spots in the Uintas because of his treasure hunting experience, when he started Bigfoot hunting with us, and I was telling him the things that I look for in Bigfoot sighting hotspots. He started saying, well, I've seen these, hunting for treasure in this different parts of the UN, is like some of the Bigfoot teepee structures. He's taken us into places, just some phenomenal structures, and he thought these structures had something to do with marking off where treasure and stuff was, and and he's looking for treasure that was stashed 500 years ago.
I don't know.
No, I'm saying 16th century Spanish. When they come through here, they enslaved the Native Americans and forced them to work in their mines, and then a bunch of the tribes got together and pushed them out eventually, and that's when they left it behind. So we're talking between 400 and 500 years ago. So Brody was thinking these structures had something to do with it, and I told him, I'm like, look, most dead wood in an untreated environment only lasts 70, 80 years. So I just doubt these structures are 400 years old. But nobody's watched a Bigfoot make one, so we don't know if Bigfoot makes those structures either. It's just our first several years of serious Bigfooting, Jenny and I started finding structures in these Bigfoot sighting hotspots, and we started wondering ourselves if there was some type of relation. So we started documenting them, GPSing them, coming back and visiting them. There's certain structures that we try to visit every year to see if they add to, take away, or sometimes they'll build a brand new structure in the area. There's some places that have what we like to call structure complexes, where there's 4 or 5 structures. That's like the 1977 Bigfoot sighting location. We found structures nearby, and there's like 4 really nice structures that are all right next to each other in the area. Yeah, we're at the top of Daniels Pass. What's the elevation here? 8,020 feet. So I think this is the highest point we're actually going to get on the south side of the Uintas. So everything should have less snow than what we're seeing right now. Taking pictures of moose in this area. We've also saw, in 2 years in a row, we've saw black bear along the side of the road here too. I'm thinking right now, it's probably not a good time to see black bear.
No.
They should be in their den for a couple more months.
Yeah, we're not going to see much of anything today. The snow's too deep right here.
We just passed the Strawberry Reservoir and coming down out of the canyon past Strawberry, and what's the other one? Soldier Reservoir.
A lot of people out ice fishing.
Yeah, and on the frozen lake, Jenny counted 11 people parasol skiing.
Yeah, that's neat.
Seems like a new big trend, parasol snow skiing. It actually looked fun.
Yeah, it was snowing up on top, but now that we're dropping elevation, it's raining again.
Coming up on our left is a canyon that goes up to a reservoir, and there's been a couple of Bigfoot sightings back there that I've heard about. Word of mouth. Current Creek. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people, not a lot, but a few people say they've saw Bigfoot back in the Current Creek area.
Somebody went missing back there a couple years ago.
Yeah, a guy ended up missing, and then they found him. He had a heart attack hiking away from his car. I know you want to exercise to prevent that stuff, but you're out alone and trying to live a healthy life, and it's really rough when you're alone. Don't have someone to go to get help because your cell phone don't always work in these narrow canyons. So really ought to have a buddy so they can run out and get help.
If you're going to exercise at the park. If you're alone.
Yeah.
Don't exercise in the mountains by yourself.
And this is an extreme mountain lion area. We're always getting mountain lion on our game cameras back here. And as a matter of fact, just because I brought it up, I will show you a bunch of the photos and videos of mountain lions that we've gotten in this area. And
they're just thick.
Yeah, and they don't attack people very often, but they do. And this has been a bad year for British Columbia, Canada. They've had 14 people mountain lion related incidences this winter, with 9 attacks on people. And just a couple of days ago, a conservation officer going out on a call where a mountain lion was actually trying to come in through a home window, he come out and it attacked him, and he had to put it down, to save his own life. But it's just been such a harsh winter with deep snow that it's a desperate year for him. And we've had 160% snow levels for what's average in this part of Utah. So the snowpack.
Yeah,
So
we're gonna have to be really careful this year.
So this might be a year where in the early spring they're going after just about anything. Yeah, and Utah's had mountain lion attacks in the past. The thing is that most mammals, bears and mountain lions, get bigger the further north you get. So Canada has, on average, bigger lions than we do. But I know a lot of people here that hunt them. One of my buddies, him and his dad run an outfitter, a guided outfit, where they take people to fill their tags for mountain lion and black bear, and in the off season they'll rent out to like National Geographic television shows or whatever to go track down mountain lion and bear for these guys to film and take pictures of. But I'm always seeing photos of the mountain lions that he's putting up that people have gotten, and there's a lot of mountain lions that are over 200 pounds in this area.
Yeah, they get pretty big.
Of course, when you're out there wanting a trophy, you're looking for the big one, so they wait until they get the one that they're happy with.
There's a lot of bear here, too.
Yeah.
Lots of bear.
Well, I know the Wildlife Service out here estimates the population of mountain lion in North Utah at around 5,000, and it's the same estimate for black bear of around 5,000. And that sounds really thick to me. For as thick as they are, you rarely see them. They're really elusive.
We catch them on our game cam, but with our own eyes, it's been pretty rare.
Yeah, we've seen, in the last 5 years, we've seen with our own eye 3 black bear in Utah, and one of them was actually following us and come within about 20 feet of us before we screamed at it and chased it off. So, out of 5,000 bear, we've only saw 3.
And only one was gonna actually try to get us, maybe.
So think about it. Say there's 50 Bigfoot in northern Utah, which I doubt, and they're concerned with staying hidden from people like bears and mountain lions are. You know, how hard is it going to be to see one or find one? And mountain lion, I've only seen one mountain lion.
I've never seen one at all.
In the last 10 years. And that one ran across me. It ran across the front of my car at night. And then, like 5 years later, Jenny and I saw a roadkill mountain lion. So we saw a dead one. But on our game cameras, we've probably captured 6 or 7 bear, 6 or 7 mountain lion in the last 5 years.
Animals can be really elusive when they feel like it.
Oh yeah, and it's obvious that black bear and mountain lion really avoid men, or you would see them a lot more, especially if there's that amount around.
Yeah, when we spend 3 days over 10,000 feet clear back in the middle of nowhere and we don't see one.
Right. Yeah, my buddy Calvin, he may watch this video, he watches some of our videos. He's the guy that runs the guide service hunting outfit. He told me that there are so many lions, so many bear up here. He says when they come up with their dogs, it doesn't take very long for their dogs to find one and tree it. Matter of fact, where we're at now, we ran into him back here last summer trying to fill a guy's bear tag, and he was like, "Do you got game cameras in this area?" And I was like, "Matter of fact, I'm going to service my game cameras in this area." He's like, "Will you let me know if there's any bears and stuff back here?"
We didn't even see him till we
didn't see him for like a week later.
Yeah. Wow, it's wet back here.
Yeah, nice thing about the rain is it helps the snow melt a little bit faster. We're coming back to a camping spot that we used as a base camp, and I can already tell we're not going to be able to get back to it. There's just too much snow right now. See, we're on a road right now that gets plowed. But to get to this camp spot, we have to go on a dirt road that doesn't get serviced in the wintertime. Whoa, boulders out in the road.
Yeah, there's slides. They have slides, but the ground's real sandy and it gets mucky and wet, and then a big huge slide will come across the road. I have to come and clear it out back here.
Yeah, I sometimes, when it's rainy and all that, I'm always like, are we going to get trapped back in here until they can come and bulldoze the slide? Wow, road's so beat up back here. Yeah, one of the next spots we're going to check after this is Skinwalker Ranch and Skinwalker Ridge. You know, it's such a famous area, and it's right in the middle of what I consider Bigfoot country because of all the sightings on the north, east, and west of it. So I feel like we should check on the place once or twice a year, all the non-Bigfoot activity people say that happened on and around that ranch. We might as well check it out whenever we're around it.
Yeah, we drive right past it anyway, so it doesn't... it's not really out of our way. Hey, there's a big mudslide. Right down. Right there.
Oh. Let me turn the camera on it.
Looks like it was half avalanche, half mudslide.
Yeah, I don't know if the camera can see it.
There's another
No,
one.
it can't. This is right in the middle of it.
There's another one next to it. Just over. Can you see that one?
Yeah, the camera might be able to pick that one up. Yeah, a couple of mudslides back there. Yeah, we didn't expect to be able to get back into our Bigfoot places, but we're coming out here to get an idea of if it's a couple of weeks or a couple of months. It looks to me like it's going to be a good, solid month. There's more slides back there.
There's a whole bunch of mudslides all down these little gullies. It's been really wet. Yeah, a couple years ago we were able to stay at our camp back here and find some Bigfoot prints in the snow because it wasn't a really bad winter, but
yeah, just about exactly 3 years ago. I think it was February 15th. I believe it's February 18th today.
yep.
But February 15th, 3 years ago, we were able to camp back here. And that weekend we were camping, we found Bigfoot tracks in the snow. And just because we brought that up, I'll make sure that I put some photos of those Bigfoot footprints in this video.
Yeah, we went Bigfooting for Valentine's Day.
Valentine's weekend, yeah.
It was cold, but there wasn't a lot of snow.
Yeah, we had an early melt-off. Well, it was warm for that time of year.
It was sunny and pretty.
It was still cold camping, but it was warm for that time of year.
Yeah, it was cold at night for sure. And but there was sun was out that weekend.
Yeah, you sleep in because you don't want to get out of your sleeping bag at all.
I'll just stay here till it warms up a little bit. Thanks.
I will stay in here till it warms up to 35. Thanks. Yeah, at night it goes below freezing and you can see your breath.
Just hope the hell you don't need to use the restroom.
Oh, this guy's having to use an off-roader to get into his property.
Yeah,
That tells me right now we're not going to be able to get back to our camp spot. So I think we're going to turn around soon. Should we actually see the turnoff?
yeah, let's make it there. I mean, let's not give up.
All right. We're going to at least check out the dirt road that we need.
I guess we won't be using our sleeping bags.
No, we showed up. We didn't think we were going to be able to get in here, but we brought our camp equipment anyway. Got to be prepared. If there's a chance we can get back in there, we'll camp and look for Bigfoot.
There's been a mudslide across the street right here before. Just covered the whole thing.
Well, there's no way getting back on that dirt road in this type of a vehicle. Too much snow, mud, crud. So it'll probably be a solid month if the weather stays warm. before we can get back into some of our favorite camping spots to go bigfooting from. So we'll just have to find a place to camp down in the valley. Just go where the conditions allow us. Okay, we're on our way to Skinwalker Ranch, Skinwalker Ridge, to check out that area. We're getting close to the Skinwalker Ranch. There is a road that bisects Skinwalker Ranch, and it's a public road, yet the public road has been gated and locked up by the owner. And from what I understand, the county at the end of last year told them they had till November 4th to take down the barricades and unlock it. It's a county road, so people should be able to drive down the road that bisects the property. I've heard that the owners have not complied with the request of the county for them to unbarricade the road. So we're gonna go and we're gonna loop Skinwalker Ranch, and if the road happens to be open to the public, we'll drive through the center of Skinwalker Ranch. I have my doubts. Ever since I've known about Skinwalker Ranch, this road's never been open to the public, so we're gonna go find out. But we'll loop the ranch. I really haven't had a personal Skinwalker experience. I don't even know if I can grasp it enough to believe that it is real. There's supposedly a lot of supernatural stuff that goes on in Skinwalker territory and around this ranch. There's supposed to be UFOs, like cattle mutilations, and then of course the Skinwalker sightings. So, you know, when we're out in this area, we'll drive around the ranch, and it's all private property, so we can't get out and hike around. Nobody really can. There's not very many people that have gotten permission. I know the last person that I know of is Jack Osborne on his Haunted Highways show. He got access to go hiking on Skinwalker Ridge, which is in the ranch area.
I personally know people who have seen
That have claimed,
that have claimed to see a Skinwalker, and I just don't know what to think about that. They said that they weren't lying or kidding, or they were straight up stone-faced saying that that was true. But wow,
yeah,
what they saw, just, I'm like, how could that be real? But you know, I guess there's a lot of things out there that are crazy sounding that may be real. I don't know. Hell, we look for Bigfoot. People think we're crazy.
I put out a video where Jenny and I hiked to some of the property, about as close as you can get to Skinwalker Ranch. We were in the Sour Creek area, and I believe I named the video something like Bigfoot and Skinwalker Worlds Collide. Sour Creek or something like that. So I talk about, while we're hiking around, I talk about the history of Skinwalker and Bigfoot in the area. So you guys might want to go and check out that video. This one, we're just going to chat while we drive around the ranch. The name of the road that bisects the ranch is Hicken Ranch Road. It's supposed to be a public access road. the people that own the ranch are very secretive and very, how should I say, territorial of the property, which they should. That property does belong to them. But if the county owns the road, we should be able to drive the road from one side of the ranch to the other. That's how the Thousand Peaks Ranch is. It's a county road that runs that, and so even though we're not able to get out and hike that ranch without permission, we can drive the road.
I like that drive.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of creepy and scary.
Yeah, you need a SUV with some clearance for that one. That is a rough, ragged road. You have to drive through sections of the creek, which is just rugged as hell. So we got the ranch on one side of us. It's on the right side, and we're gonna do a loop around the ranch. And I'm gonna kind of angle the camera that direction a little bit, because there's supposed to be the paranormal activities. People talk about seeing UFOs here, orbs, and of course the skinwalker, which from what I understand on the ranch, the skinwalker form, animal form, is supposed to be a wolf, and then of course it can turn into a person. I always tell people it's kind of the Native American version of a werewolf.
I was told that it was a coyote. But one of the people that I know saw it said it was a coyote.
Yep. Yeah, I read up on the Navajo and the Utes legend of the skinwalker, and different people, witch doctors or whatever. Supposedly it's an evil witch doctor. After they pass away, they can become a skinwalker, and some of them can turn into a bear form or different types of animals. But the most common one is canine form. So coyote or wolf. But there's a lot of legend around this ranch that it's a three-toed wolf. It's when it's in its canine form. It's in a wolf form on these ranch. Only thing I've seen anywhere close to this ranch is a coyote, though. When we went to Sour Creek, which I was telling you guys earlier is one of the closest places that people can publicly hike near this ranch. In Sour Creek, we captured some footage of a coyote. Just barely got it as it was going into the trees. And then north of here on, what's the name of that lake? Moon Lake. When it was frozen over last winter, we took a photo of a really nice coyote out there. Even though it was in the middle of the winter and he was on a frozen lake, he looked like he was eating really well.
Yeah.
He was in really good health. And I will include that photo on here. I'm not saying that he's a skinwalker, but
No.
it was his coyote.
He was out prancing around. He's a regular animal.
And we've also caught some coyote within 20 miles of this ranch on game camera. And if I can find those, I'll put those too.
We haven't got a wolf yet.
No.
We've seen a wolf.
Jenny and I tried taking pictures and filming a wolf that we saw in 2012 about, I don't know, 50 to 100 yards in front of us in our headlights out in a clearing.
It just didn't work
And
out.
photos and video did not come out, or just wasn't getting enough light on him.
We could see it just plain as day with our eyes, but the camera wasn't seeing it.
We're looking for Hicken Ranch Road. If that happens to be open, we'll drive it for you guys. I have my doubts, though. Like I said, the ranch is on the right side of us. We're close to Skinwalker Ridge. I'm gonna turn the camera really to the right. Keep it in the direction of the ranch for y'all. And if you guys see a UFO, let us know, because I haven't seen one with my own two eyes yet.
I've known people who've seen those as well.
Well, twice in my life I've seen large fireball go up in the air and drop back down, and the last time was in 2015 during a supermoon, and that fireball come up and went down in the direction of the ranch from where we were camping. I know it was the fireball wasn't directly over the ranch. We were too far away. We were about 20 miles away, but the fireball was probably, I don't know, about the size of a big car, like an SUV, and it went up and dropped and was perfectly spherical, just come right up above the mountain. I was filming at the time, the supermoon, and by the time I grabbed my camera to turn it on the fireball that come up over the mountain, it already dropped. See, and how crazy is that? I have a camera sitting in front of me on a tripod filming. It was on. The camera just wasn't in the direction of what happened, and by the time I grabbed the camera, even before I could move it, that fireball had dropped down over the mountain. And when I was a young kid, I'd seen the same thing out near the Great Salt Lake when I was a kid. And you know, people ask me, is that fireworks? And it's like, no, it's a big flaming ball of fire. It looked like, I don't know if it was made of fire or energy, but it dropped back down, and it looked like it was under the control of gravity, like it shot up into the air and used up all of its energy before gravity took over and pulled it back down. I haven't personally seen a flare gun go off. I've seen flare guns on TV, and it just doesn't look like a flare gun, but I can't, when people are saying I have an emergency or whatever, and shoot those up in the air, but I can't totally rule out that it wasn't that. But the ones I've seen on TV and stuff, the fireball isn't the size of a SUV car,
I saw something weird when I lived down in Hooper. Right across the field, our house was in the middle of nowhere, and actually it was the house that you lived in.
Right.
And we were in the front living room, and there was a big, huge beam of blue light that just shot through the front of our windows. And there's no other houses around, just ours. And so we went out on the front lawn, and we're looking at this big blue beam of light, and it's shining at our house, and then it's in the field across the street from our house, but we couldn't see what the light was coming from, and the light just lifted off the ground, straight up into the air, and like a helicopter, but it didn't have any noise coming from it. And then it just went off in the distance and disappeared, but it didn't have any noise coming from it, but it moved like a helicopter, straight up and then sideways, and then
See, and that's the first ball of fire or energy that I ever saw in my life, was on that same piece of property down by the Great Salt Lake in Hooper.
Oh, really?
Yes. And it's just amazing that when we were kids, a year after my parents moved us to a different town, and that house was vacated, Jenny's family bought that house and moved into it. So
it's so weird.
Yeah, it was 10 acres of horse property. But yeah, I saw a ball of fire similar to the one that I saw out here. But it's close to the Great Salt Lake, and me living by the Great Salt Lake, that's the only what I would consider a UFO I ever saw while I lived there. But there are a lot of stories, a lot of people I know personally that have saw UFOs out near the causeway that goes out to Antelope Island. You know, I've had several friends that have said they've saw UFO hovering over the Great Salt Lake for several minutes before, you know, taking off at high speeds and leaving. And it's just weird how many people say that they see those UFOs around lakes.
Yeah, bodies of water. Coming up out of the water, going back down into the water. I had 2 family members that were together that saw a big, huge, colorful, rainbowed craft lift up out of Bear Lake, up into the air, and then zoom away.
Yeah, and because I say I saw a UFO, it doesn't necessarily mean it was an intelligent being from another planet. UFO means an unidentified flying object, and for the simple fact I don't know what it was, and it's up in the air flying, that's an unidentified flying object. I don't know where this ball of fiery looking energy came from, but it didn't last very long before it dropped back down below the horizon. Both times I've saw them in my life. But I just thought it was ironic how that one was in the direction of this ranch when I saw it just 2 years ago. More like a year and a half ago when I saw it, actually. Yeah, it was during a supermoon. I decided to film the supermoon rising up over the horizon, and, you know, so far into the sky. Just happened to be standing there by the tripod while I was filming it, because I did a whatchamacallit, time lapse. Sorry, I did the time lapse of it, and you know what? I'll include the time lapse of that supermoon in here, since it, you know, after I time lapse it, it's only like a 5-second dill of the supermoon coming up. There's Skinwalker Ridge out there, folks. That is Skinwalker Ridge. From what I understand, there's a river or a creek that runs under it. Jack Osborne, when he did his show out here, he hiked on the ridge. They filmed some coyotes. They tracked them to the river, and they went across. They crossed the river. It looked like they picked up the footprints on the other side of the river again. I really haven't seen much out here to really get the whole legend about the place. I'm sure the owners would love for the legend to go away.
I'm sure.
I don't think they like the attention of their ranch out here at all. But we're not going to do anything to infringe on their personal privacy. We just want to show the terrain of the ranch. And if something weird flies over the ranch, we'd like to see that too.
That's a kind of a nighttime thing.
Yeah, well, it's a nice dark day. If there was something blue or red or green up there glowing, flying around, I'm sure we could catch it on a day like this.
That's true.
What I've read, people most commonly see balls of energy like electricity or fire over this that fly around. People have claimed that they've actually come up alongside their car, chased their car, and yeah, because we have a camera rolling, you know that's not going to happen to us. There's just certain things that don't happen when the camera's going. And And I don't want to see a cattle mutilation at all. Jenny and I bigfooting along Chalk Creek one year we saw like 10 dead sheep all in one field, and it was about the saddest thing. And you know, it's private property, we can't stop and get out of the car and all that, so we don't know how they expired, but really felt bad for the animals and the farmer that owned them. Let's see, what's the name of it? 4500 East. Well, let's go on it. Yeah, we saw like one of the biggest golden eagles take off out there, and we're like, oh, she's huge. I don't think I've seen a bigger one. And then we realized why the golden eagle was out there. He was eating a carcass.
Yeah.
And once we spotted the carcass, we spotted like 10 more of them, or 9 more, whatever it was. And yeah, it just made me sick to my stomach on how those animals may have died. We didn't see that they were, you know, from our vantage point, we didn't see where they had been like tore up, except for the one that the eagle had been eaten on. And
no, they were just laying over.
So they weren't a mutilation or anything like that. But that has nothing to do with Skinwalker Ranch, not even close to Skinwalker Ranch. That was out in Bigfoot sighting hotspot that we saw that.
Out past Colville.
Yeah. So yeah, we're in the epicenter of the Skinwalker legend. And not many people get to hike here. You got the private ranch property, and then surrounding the private ranch property is Indian reservation. And we got to hike about, I think it's about 8 miles from here. So yeah, you guys are seeing a lot of Skinwalker territory here. This is the epicenter of the Skinwalker legend. And the legend, we talk about it in one of our videos that we're posting near this one. We talk about how it started way back in the days of the Navajo and the Utes having kind of a war. And pretty much, I believe it is, I could be wrong. I think it's the Navajo. I don't have the information in front of me right now, but I believe it's the Navajo were imprisoning the Utes, or vice versa. And the ones that were being enslaved, they started the Skinwalker curse upon the other one. So usually the Skinwalker, these evil Skinwalkers, are after the opposite tribe. Did you think you saw the Hicken Road?
I didn't get to see it.
Oh, okay, well, we're going to turn around at the end of this anyway. But Skinwalker territory is huge. It pretty much goes from a little ways north of here all the way through southern Utah into northern Arizona and northern New Mexico. So Skinwalker territory is quite the stretch, and there's Skinwalker stories all through those territories. And of course, Jenny and I know a few people personally that say they have seen Skinwalkers in central and southern Utah. One of my interests in Skinwalkers is it to have something to do with Bigfoot. Is there a correlation, which after looking into it a little deeper, just what people are seeing is completely different than Bigfoot, and it's more of a, to me, more of like a haunting, a spiritual curse, evil witch doctor, and that's nothing to do with Bigfoot. And in my opinion, and I know everybody has different opinions about what a Bigfoot may be, but I think it's a primitive type primate that's very rare, and because it's evolved alongside men, know that you must avoid men or become extinct, because we're the most voracious predator on the planet. So they've learned long ago to avoid us, and they do a really good job at it. There's a little lake that's on the reservation out here. Yeah, it's probably a reservoir. I'm sure someone that knows more about Skinwalker Ranch that's watching this will say in the comments exactly what the lake is. We're actually going to flip around up here, and we're going to go back around the ranch the opposite way. It's not a huge ranch, so you know, we want to circle it at least twice before we leave, watching for paranormal activity and so forth. We're headed back to go the opposite way for y'all. Give us one more chance to see something out of the ordinary. Just like with Bigfoot, rarely do we find anything, so we never expect anything. Once in a great while, we're shocked and find a trackway of footprints or hear a vocalization or whatnot. We've even, on the Bigfoot subject, we've even, on a couple of times that we've found trackways, also found their handprints on the ground, which was just crazy. But heck, out of 10 years and only, a dozen, maybe a couple dozen times of actually finding footprints and stuff, you expect it and you appreciate it. You don't expect it and you appreciate it if it actually happens. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for flying objects and crazy wolves or coyotes. Kind of turning off that way. That's in the Skinwalker Ranch direction. Now this section gets us down close to some of the river bottoms and stuff, and in my opinion, if a wolf or a canine was living out here, I think they would be using this cover during the daytime. Yeah, you may be just tuning into this because you're into skinwalkers, and we're here at Skinwalker Ranch, and I'm sure this is probably interesting to anyone that's into skinwalkers, but we mostly do the Bigfoot thing. We're mostly going to Bigfoot sighting hotspots looking for Bigfoot. So yeah, watch some of our Bigfoot videos too. We're not just going out and wandering around in any old place. We're going to the places where there's a long history of Bigfoot sightings, or there's been several Bigfoot sightings over several years. We believe that improves our chances than just going up camping at any old place.
And we found a couple of our own good places.
But you have to admit, our own good places that we found, what first brought us in there was the Bigfoot sightings. One of the best places that we have found, our top 5 places, is the 77 Bigfoot sighting location.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll get comments from people that are like, why are you guys at that place? That Bigfoot sighting happened 20 years ago. And, you know, Bigfoot sightings are rare. And so, you know, after you've already looked at all the recent places, you know, why not? Why not go to somewhere that it happened 20 years ago? Well, because of a sighting. I don't know what 1977 is from now, like 40 years, close to 40 years. Yeah, 40 years. You know, we go into a place like that expecting to find nothing, and we find some of the best footprints we've ever found. And several times going back to that place, we've found structures, footprints, we've even found handprints in the area, we've heard vocalizations, and so after a place that's 40 years old turns out to be a great place, we don't care if the Bigfoot sighting happened last week, last month, or 100 years ago. We want to see them all. At one point in time, the conditions were right for someone to have a Bigfoot sighting in that place. Why wouldn't Bigfoot continue to come back to these places where people see them? So that's my philosophy on not really giving a crap if the sighting's old or new. I want to see them all. Plus, it might give me an idea of what Bigfoot habitat should be.
Yeah, if the terrain hasn't changed or there isn't people living there, then there's no reason why they wouldn't come through there all the time, again and again and again.
Yeah. And the food sources for certain times of the year. You know, in my opinion, the same month that people have saw the Bigfoot is the optimal time to come through the area, because perhaps there was a food source available that it was looking for that time of year. And then other times, just because of your own personal schedule, you know, the Bigfoot sighting happened in October, but you're there in August, you know. Whatever, it is what it is. Yeah, this looks like a lot better place for wolves and coyotes to hang out. All this cover down here in the bottoms.
Oh,
Oh, oh, oh.
oh, oh. Just keep going. You're not in the way. He is.
I'm afraid they're gonna run under the tires. Dang skinwalker dogs. Gosh, it looks like he was gonna try and bite my tires. I was afraid I was gonna run him over.
I know. I didn't mean to run over your dog. The dog only had 3 legs. So.
Look at this, birch trees, gigantic ones, giant cottonwoods, and Russian olive trees.
Well, this is where the river is down here.
Yep. I believe Jack actually crossed this river at night on his show, The Haunted Highway, tracking those coyotes. Yeah, he sent up a drone at night with the FLIR camera, and that's how they spotted the coyotes, and then they went and tracked them. I like him and his dad's new show, that show about history, but I really loved his Haunted Highway show. The first couple of seasons, they were awesome. Especially when he chases skinwalkers and Bigfoot and lake monsters. Oh, I have the yield sign. Thanks. Friendly people around here. So far, Skinwalker Ranch hasn't given up any of its secrets to us. It is kind of exciting to be here, though. Yeah, we've taken you guys through Daniels Canyon, where one person claims they hit and almost killed a Bigfoot in their truck. And then that, just because that was on the way to Skinwalker Ranch area, we're checking the snow levels in the South Uintas to see when we can get in here and get into our favorite spots to look for Bigfoot. And since it's also Skinwalker country, I promise you we'll keep our eyes out for skinwalkers. I've said it once in the video, I wouldn't mind, even though it may be terrifying, I wouldn't mind coming face to face with the Bigfoot, especially if I had a camera at the ready and I kept my wits about me enough to turn the camera on. But I don't ever want to come face to face with the skinwalker. I tell you the truth, I would be happy to never see one. And this is coming from a guy that's been driving around Skinwalker Ranch, but from the safety of my vehicle, hey, that's all good.
Yeah, that's a little too unnatural for me.
Or I'm actually hoping that we see some of the orbs that people say they see flying around here. That ridge is a pretty long ridge. The Skinwalker Ridge that they call it looked like it was a couple miles long. We're like at the end of the ridge now. And we got to drive on the ridge. There was a public road back there that we got to drive up on the ridge, and that lake's on the other side. Yeah, the ranch isn't that big. You blink, you'll miss it. Yeah, I don't know offhand how many acres the ranch is supposed to be. We talked about that Chalk Creek Road that bisects Thousand Peaks Ranch Bigfoot sighting hotspot. One year when Jenny and I were driving on that road at night, a coyote come running up alongside of the car.
Yeah, that was weird.
Was pacing the car. I seemed to be going pretty fast because it was a fairly smooth dirt road. But it kept up with the car on one side of us, checking us out, which was kind of creepy. Then the coyote ran up in front of my car. I mean, only about 5-10 feet in front of my car, staying up ahead of the car. I mean, really, if I wanted to punch the gas, I probably could have ran the poor guy over. I thought it was just crazy that it was doing such risky behavior.
Yeah.
You know, running alongside a vehicle and then ran up in front of me, running in front of me. But I kept on thinking, are we having a skinwalker experience? Please don't turn into a human face and look at me, you know, because people have claimed that has happened, but none of that happened.
No.
He just ran alongside of us, ran in front of us for a little while, and then he finally went off and took off. But I mean, this whole thing lasted almost a full minute of him running beside us and then running in front of us.
Yeah, he ran looking inside our windows at us.
Looking at us inside the vehicle, yeah.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
Uh-huh. It was cool. But because I've heard of people having skinwalker experiences where a coyote will run up alongside their car, look in, and it'll have a human face, is what they claim. So I was that's what was going through my head. I'm like, please don't have a human face. And it didn't. It was a coyote, nose to tail, you know.
It's a pretty big one.
Yeah, it was cool. You always wonder, these people that live on the edges of Skinwalker Ranch, if anything weird happens around their homes, if they have any stories themselves. Have to watch and see if a bunch of houses go up for sale all at the same time. Yeah, we'll come and drive around this ranch 2 or 3 times a year for y'all, and of course, if we hear of any skinwalker stories or UFO stories from around here, or Bigfoot stories especially, certainly let you guys know about those. But we're actually going away from the ranch now and getting into some populated areas. We usually end our videos by keep on watching, we're gonna keep on squatching. And we really don't chase skinwalkers, so that's how we'll end this. Is you guys keep watching our videos. We love all you viewers. You know, we will chase more than Bigfoot. We'll chase other cryptozoology mysteries, but we specialize in tracking down Bigfoot. So it'll be 99% Bigfoot and 1% other things if we happen to be in the area. So I hope you guys enjoyed our roundtable drive from Bigfoot sighting spot Daniels Canyon all the way to Skinwalker sighting spot, Skinwalker Canyon, Skinwalker Ridge. Keep on watching. We're gonna keep on squatching.